Good evening, wrestling fans. It is Monday, November 11th, Veterans Day. We have just finished the special edition of Night Raw. Special because of Veterans Day, really. Special because it came to us from the good old jolly UK, and we had fish and chips, and we watched, I don't know, Mr. Bean and laughed.
Go fuck yourself, Mike.
Hip, hip, cheerio. Yeah. I don't know how many other British idioms I can fit in there. But I am your host tonight, Mr. Mike Paden, host of Keeping Kayfabe and the host of this show here tonight. Also joining me tonight, Mr. Anthony Mango, lead host of Smark Out Moments, Smack Talk Show, as well as many other things. Tony, how you doing this evening?
Doing not too bad, but a little bit worse after watching that episode of Raw.
Really, you're that down on it? I didn't think.
I hated it. It was so stupid.
Also joining us, lead host of Unanimous Decision MMA, Mr. Steven Wago. What's shaking, Steven?
Man, I hope we get some really interesting callers today because that episode of Raw was shit.
Wow, am I the only person who's even remotely positive about this?
You find Las Matadores entertaining, so yes.
Las Matadores is entertaining. Olé! I'm going to get an Olé sound clip and put it on our board. But
just get one of the things that JBL does. He does it constantly.
So let's just start digging in. People, if you're listening, as Steven said, we hope we get some interesting callers. If you got something you want to rant about from tonight's episode, or perhaps if you want to be positive like me and say something was cool, call in area code 760-512-7247. That's area code 760-512-7247 to join us here on the Monday Night Raw post show here on Mega Powers Radio. Guys, let's start right from the top. We had a opening video package celebrating Veterans Day, voiced over by John Cena. Nice little touch they do. They always like to support the troops and push that Americana. Even when they're overseas on this day's episode, they still had to find a way to shoehorn in there. Yeah. Opening segment, we had Randy Orton, the first person out. He says that Triple H and Stephanie are off on vacation. They did not want to come to the UK, and therefore he is in charge tonight. I don't know how he possibly comes to that conclusion, because, of course, he's interrupted by the general manager of Raw, Brad Maddox, who comes out and says that he is the person in charge. However, he is even interrupted himself by the new, what is his office? The chief of organizing or something?
Kane's?
Yeah.
It was something of operations.
Chief of operations, Kane. And he argues with Braddock about who Randy Orton will be facing in a match tonight. One guy saying Goldust, one guy saying Cody Rhodes. And it was this typical Looney Tunes type comedy thing they do, which I think is not the best thing to be doing with Kane the week after you first put him into a suit and have this new persona unveiled with him. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the guy running this show here. Eventually they end up deciding that Vicky Guerrero is actually the voice of reason, I should say. Comes out, interrupts, says that the match tonight will actually be Randy Orton in a handicap match against Goldust and Cody Rhodes. And that match was our opening match. Orton ends up finishing the match by walking out for a countout. He does the Fandango. He ends up being stopped by Big Show, comes out, chokeslams Orton through a table for his troubles. And that's our opening segment. The announcer table didn't even make it through the first bit. Too bad. But guys, what do you think about our first bits we had here? Tony?
I was so bored with this already. This was such a downer to start off on. I don't like it when people leave matches, but on top of that, this promo that they had, by the midpoint of it, I was just like, oh my god, just fucking announce the match. I don't care. This was built around the idea of the Authority isn't there, which means nothing really that important is going to happen. And you could tell that nothing was going to end up happening throughout the whole rest of the night from the start of this segment. So the match was already starting off kind of bad. The promo kicked it off in a weird way. It meant absolutely nothing. And the big follow-up to that was just a bunch of segments of Randy Orton bitching and complaining, which I felt like doing as well.
Steven?
I really don't understand why they actually had to have the handicap match, especially with such a shit finish. It was one thing that I found rather interesting was that Goldust moves around the ring a lot better than Randy Orton does. That shouldn't be the case, but as far as why they did all this in the opening segment, it made no sense to me. If you're going to do a whole thing about the Authority not being there, then that should just give Big Show the opportunity just to come down and kick the shit out of Randy Orton. No need to have all the pissing about in between. So it just felt like a lot of padding out on a show that was Shit, I think that's what this entire show was. It was just padding out.
Yeah, there was a lot of filler. Well, here's the thing that I noticed they generally do when they have these shows overseas in England. They're typically entertaining shows, I would say. You're not going to watch and be necessarily bored, but you're not going to see anything that's progressing stories too much. And I think the reason for that being is because they're on that tape delay, and whenever they have something that's going to have a chance of being spoiled, I don't think they want to put anything too huge out there.
Yeah, but they could still add matches that could propel the feuds in certain ways, like we got with the whole Del Rio and John Cena thing. Instead, we had kind of the opposite of what they would be doing. If, plus and minus go together, they were giving us minus and minus throughout the whole night. It's almost as if they took people that were feuding with each other and they said, you know what, we have to mix this up and do something different, which sometimes that can come out good, but tonight it just seemed like they didn't want to do what they were supposed to do, and we just have to wait until the next week's episode of Raw.
And one issue I had with the whole thing is if you're going to have a tape delay episode and you don't want to spoil things, I understand that, but if you're going to have a tape delay, you know you're probably going to have less viewers with people finding the spoilers out. So why wouldn't you want to put something more entertaining that people will read up about and go, oh shit, I should actually tune in and see it? I don't know. I just don't get it.
I think people are going to shit on what they read in spoilers no matter what. So at that point, I don't think it matters what they're reading in spoilers. And for the moment, I saw people put these up. You're like, oh, it's stupid. This is a stupid episode. It's like, you haven't even seen it yet. How can you say it's going to be stupid?
Oh, but it was so stupid to read. I got so bored reading this.
All right, well, joining us here, a little bit late, but not too bad because he's the Bounce House Prince and he can show up whenever he wants. It's Mr. Drew White. How you doing tonight, Drew?
Oh, man. It's glad to be back. That's all that counts. And that's about it.
You got this fancy new Skype picture of you with a high-quality microphone looking like you're in an actual radio studio.
No, actually, that's my school's radio studio.
Oh.
Oh.
Broadcasting from tonight.
Yeah.
Is that a doing homework?
It sounds like he's broadcasting from his pillow.
Oh, yeah.
He's in a bounce house.
Anyway, Drew, we were just talking about the opening segment with first Kane, Randy Orton, and Braddock's in the ring discussing who Randy Orton will be facing in the night. And, of course, the handicap match we ended up getting with Goldust and Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton. How'd you feel about our opening segment tonight on Raw?
When did Vicky become the head honcho on Raw when she's the GM at SmackDown? That's the weird thing about it. That's what I thought was weird.
Well, there is this weird, who is in charge when you're at this point? You have the chief of operations. It's definitely not Randy Orton. I don't know where he got his argument from.
Yeah, I don't know. But all that matters is that Braddock's was a vocal point in tonight's show for once. That's all that counts.
I think it's pretty safe to say the WWE Universe is in charge. Ooh. Is that what they want us to say?
Only if stuff on the app is allowing them to be. I don't know. So what we had after that, we had the greatest set of tag teams you can have on the show. We had Los Matadores teaming up with Santino Marella, who came out with some bullhorns of his own, going against a newcomer tag team, the Union Jacks.
Oh, yeah.
Who is actually just 3MB wearing some British flags on their tights. It was a fun little thing. They were doing the Sex Pistols type spin-off. Early British punk band. I thought it was fun. And the match overall was fun. It ended up ending with Santino getting the Cobra onto, I don't remember who it was on, but the Cobra had little horns put on it as well, so they're running this whole bull thing between everybody. I thought it was fun. I'm sure Steven's going to shit on it, but why can't we just have some good fun for once? Huh? What's wrong with that? What's good with some fun once in a while, huh? Why can't wrestling be fun?
I like comedy when it's actually genuinely funny and not fucking forced upon us like this garbage. I thought, when 3MB came out, I actually marked out for the whole fucking Sex Pistol vibe they was giving. And then the match was just utter shit. And I was like, man, why didn't I pick my piss break? But luckily Del Rio came on later, so I got to piss then.
Hey.
Drew, I know you're on board with me, man. How'd you dig the Los Matadores appearance tonight?
Oh, man. Anytime you see Los Matadores, you know it's going to be a fantastic night on Raw. But Santino was killing their vibe, killing El Torito's vibe, killing JBL's vibe. That's the only thing I got to complain about.
Tony, how are you feeling about these guys? Have you gotten on board?
I'm about 50-50. I'm all for having some kind of fun throwaway filler And Santino's pretty good at doing that. Los Matadores, they're not necessarily that great, but the gimmick can be fun in that kind of capacity. But what bothers me about this is that I didn't like that first segment, and to follow it up with this, it was just kind of like continuing that downward slope. So if this would have came a little bit later on in the night, we would have had some actual important shit in between this. Maybe I'd look past it a little bit more, but I got to do the obvious joke and say that this was bullshit.
You know when Vince said he was going to inject a lethal dose of fucking poison into the WWE? It wasn't about Los Matadores, but he was looking towards the future.
Wow, they're not that bad. Come on.
Steven, what do you hate about Los
Really,
Matadores?
man? Are you racist? Is that what it is? Do you not like Mexicans? Like, why did you come to this side of the ocean if you didn't want to be that close to Mexico?
They're not fucking Mexican.
Oh, yeah, they're Spanish.
Go fuck yourself.
So that's why you came here. You came here to get away from Spain.
Are you part of the real Americans, Steven?
I just want El Torito to be like JBL's pet that just goes the shit out of Michael Cole when he says something fucking stupid or when Lawless says a stupid joke and then just can the Los Matadores. The bull's over, they're not.
I hear the crowd going Olay.
Ole.
Ole!
Yeah, it's called canned fucking audience that the WWE puts in themselves.
Okay, and I suppose they're canning the people putting their arms up when they do it too.
Yep.
Honestly?
Yep.
Well, okay, to answer Steven's thing about the whole commentators bullshit that's going on, JBL is probably the most annoying commentator to me right now for some reason.
What?
What?
Yes.
That's Jerry Lawler by far. He comes out with the most stupidest shit.
No. Here's the reason why. JBL doesn't really commentate anymore. This is what JBL does. JBL will just go say something, and Michael Cole will bring up a completely reasonable reason why. And JBL's like, no, fuck you, no, that's not it at all. And it's gotten to the point where it's just like, dude, no, just no.
Yeah, but I love the fact that he doesn't give a fuck. He'll just shit on something. It's awesome.
Well, no, it's just, he just overuses it. Like, the problem is, it'll just get, like, to me, because sometimes I'll zone out and I won't really pay attention to a match, and I'll just like, you know, just listen to the commentary to keep me updated on it. And when JBL's there, it's just kind of like they are just arguing the entire time. And it's just like, nope, you guys aren't helping me at all. Now I can't really discuss anything on this show because I wasn't paying attention. So, yes, that's why.
Well, if Los Matadores is so good, then why wasn't you paying attention?
I was paying attention. I'm not using this as an example. This is just an example from the past. I wasn't paying attention tonight. Tonight sucked.
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's move on to the next match. We had Dameon Sandow versus Kofi Kingston. Poor Sandow, not even getting an entrance, coming back from commercial with him already in the ring. Sandow ends up winning the match with his new finisher, the You're Welcome. And that's when I thought I noticed it when he was first in the ring, only getting that little piece of his entrance, but then it was confirmed when it started up again. Dameon Sandow has a new entrance theme. It's the same Hallelujah tune, but it is much, much more beefed up. It sounds like they got a lot more strings on it. They got a percussion on it, perhaps some timpani, I think it was. It sounded pretty good.
First of 3 people that have a slightly different theme for their entrances tonight.
Oh, who else?
R-Truth and Tyson Kidd.
Okay, R-Truth, yeah. I'll talk about that. Drew, what were you going to say? I guess nothing.
Apparently nothing.
Tony, how'd you feel about Mr. Sandow and Kingston's match tonight?
It's a shame that this couldn't have been like a really good, solid match to just kind of throw out there, and it's a shame that Dameon Sandow isn't in the World Heavyweight title picture because he really deserves to be, and fuck Del Rio, he's so goddamn boring. I don't want to see another match with just him and John Cena. So that was a downer. I do like seeing Sandow and Kingston together, and I like seeing both of these guys have a purpose. So that was another situation where I was just like, God damn it, like this is another, they didn't do anything with them. Like, if this would have come beforehand, before that Los Matadores thing, as I mentioned before, and it could have been worth something, maybe Sandow beats Kofi Kingston and then cuts a promo about how it's ridiculous that he's not in the world title picture or something, then maybe I would have warmed up to this a little bit better, but you got to look at this as filler, and you got to look at this as a shame that Sandow went from losing his cash in, and you know there's a chance that he could end up coming out of this looking golden, but now it's just he's back down to the mid card, which is kind of pitiful.
I think this was just a match to pass for the time being. I think Sandow is still going to be okay. I just don't think they had anything else for him to do this week. But, Steven, how'd you feel about it?
When Kofi eats a banana, he becomes Banana Man. It was fitting that it was in England and he was wearing the Banana Man fucking tights. He looked ridiculous. For anyone who doesn't know that, it was a really horrible British cartoon. As far as the match goes...
So, it was a British cartoon.
Yeah, it was a fucking British cartoon. I mean, it wasn't Mr. Bean bad, but it was pretty bad. As far as the match goes, it was average. It was nothing special. I'm just glad they didn't have Dameon Sandow lose. I'm really upset with what they're doing with him right now. I'd like him to be square in the title picture along with John Cena and Alberto because God knows I'm fucking sick of Del Rio. It'd make the feud a little more interesting.
Well, true that. What about Kofi, though?
What about Kofi?
Shouldn't he be getting something a little bit sweeter?
Nah, fuck Kofi.
He needs to do something to convince him to give him something sweeter. He's kind of been riding on the same coattails for a long time, and that's why he's getting nowhere.
I'm surprised they even give him fucking pyro anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Drew, what did you feel about this whole Dameon Sandow and Kofi Kingston match?
The hell was that?
Sandow has a good. Can I continue?
Can you start?
I didn't pay attention to it. Well, I will say two things. One, like Sandow. No, let me finish. Let me finish. Please. Sandow has a good. Alex has a good.
Drew, we're laughing because you're getting some really weird sounds with your Skype. So, could you like restart your Skype and we'll call you back in? If you can hear me. I'm gonna hang up on him, hopefully. So what'd you think? Silence.
Can I finish?
Let me finish.
I'm surprised it didn't break away for a no.
Oh, is Drew back? Drew, you there?
Maybe.
Okay, I think you sound a little bit better. I'm not sure. All right, let's move on. Yeah. We had we actually had an Intercontinental title match tonight. It was between Curtis Axel and Dolph Ziggler. Curtis Axel miraculously defending his Intercontinental title tonight. I thought for sure he was a done man tonight. And it would end up he would be another person who would be a done man tonight, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Curtis Axel looking like there's still maybe hope for him yet. Steven, you glad for him? Is this good?
Curtis Axel? Is that what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Curtis Axel. Seriously, he's like on my list of fuck this guy because he's just so boring and it's so depressing thinking that guy was like who his dad was. It was like, God, he's so boring in the ring and Dolph Ziggler couldn't even pull out a decent match with him. I got no time for this guy. I wish they just put the belt on Ziggler.
True. What the hell are you doing over there?
Are you hacking your mic?
Maybe. Hang on.
Tell us what your feelings are about this Intercontinental title situation. Are you glad that it's going to be staying around the waist of Mr. Curtis Axel, or was it supposed to be Dolph Ziggler's time to shine?
Well, I assumed that this wasn't going to be a title change because that was, by this point, you could already tell nothing was going to happen on this episode, other than the very few last minutes of this. But as soon as Dolph Ziggler came out and it was supposed to be for the title, and this was a pre-recorded thing, I kind of assumed, and this is where following spoilers and stuff gets in the way. Nobody had said anything to me about, did you hear Dolph Ziggler won the title? So I was like, okay, well, he's clearly not going to win this. I kind of thought that he was going to win the match by, like, a count out or something, and I'm a little bit disappointed that he wasn't. Not only because I have Dolph Ziggler on our fantasy league, but because Dolph Ziggler deserves so much better than this, and he shouldn't just be used as fodder for Curtis Axel amongst all people. Axel is pointless right now, and he needs to drop that Intercontinental title, whether it's to Big E or Dolph or, give it to Tyson Kidd. Give it to anybody at this point other than Curtis Axel, unless you're going to give it to Hornswoggle or to El Torito. But it's a shame that Curtis Axel isn't worth more and that they don't have something put in place to just move on, have him lose it to somebody and kick him to the curb.
So you don't think Dylan would be a good IC champion?
Dylan. Maybe he'll win the title and it'll...
Tony, when was the last time a midget was announced as Intercontinental Champion?
the Cruiserweight title.
Oh, okay.
They'll win the IC title and then they'll just, abandon it. Just like
Can we call it the Dylan Championship?
Drew, you with us, dude?
Yes.
Oh, you sound good, man. What did you think about tonight's Intercontinental title match between Curtis Axel and Dolph Ziggler? Are you glad it's sticking with Axel?
I thought it was a decent match, but I really don't know what to think about Curtis Axel right now because he's been put in such a bad situation because of the whole Ryback and Heyman thing. So it's just weird. If he's gonna drop the title, it needs to be to someone else besides Ziggler because to me Ziggler's above the IC title right now. He needs to be finding something else to do.
Huh.
But I just don't know what to do. Axel because he needs to get rid of Heyman.
You could do it. You could make it.
I'm done.
Yeah, your mic shut out again.
Okay, well, listen, I'm sorry, guys, because I let a friend borrow my mic earlier this week, and he gave it back. He might have messed something up in it or something like that.
I think it's an internet connectivity issue.
Yeah.
You're perfectly fine. You're trying to explain what's wrong.
Oh, okay, well, hang on, let me just, I don't know.
WWE is just trying to censor you, Drew.
All right, well, while you're looking at that, Steven, what do you think about tonight's Intercontinental title match?
You already asked me, but it's still shit.
It's not shit. It's not shit. You're shit. It's shit.
What did you think, Paden?
I thought it was excellent. I was absolutely astonished that Curtis Axel managed to hold on. As soon as I saw that there was a title match, I was like, oh boy, this is it. Those past couple months of doing absolutely nothing, this is it. They're just gonna get it done with, over and done with, just pull El Yeller out back and pull the trigger, and that's it. But in the end, we got the surprise win from Curtis Axel, and I'm glad that they're not completely lost faith in them yet, or at least they're going to wait for a more built-up moment to make that drop, and not just doing it for hey, here's a random match on Raw with the title on the line.
Or next week's Raw.
I really wish Dolph would have won, and they could have took him in a direction of bringing up that feud with Big E, but actually doing something with it. But,
I'm sure we'll see it down the line. I'm sure that's not done. There will be time for that as they go on. Dolph Ziggler and Big E are both young competitors. They have careers ahead of them. We got some more backstage arguing between Kane and Brad Maddox. And we also got our salesman of the week, Zack Ryder, pimping all the great WWE merch to us. And then, it's official, I think we can say at this point, where they're just going to keep rotating people around every show. Oh my gosh, Zack Ryder, I think, had to have been one of the absolute worst. That goatee, he had the Hulk Hogan style goatee, only it extended all the way down past on the chin. It was hideous. Zack Ryder not looking very good these days.
Woo, 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 I don't want to know it.
Poor guy. I just got downtrodden so much, and he let it bring him down like that.
Ugh. This fucking segment was horrible. I'm getting I don't actually mind these cheesy commercials they do when they're for WWE Shop. I find them entertaining when the right guy's on there, but Zack Ryder's just really horrible on camera. He's so fine for a YouTube web show, but that's about it.
No. Anyone else got anything to say about that?
I'm okay with these kind of segments. They're, fun little things to break up the time. And I'd rather see the wrestlers that don't really get that much of a time to cut promos getting in this kind of situation than for them to just film some other kind of WWE Shop thing or do another fucking 1-800-fella kind of situation.
Oh, I missed the 1-800-fellas.
Poor JTG, you're shit when you can't even get on that segment.
I'm curious to see who they do next. I don't know really who they can do, but it seems like they're all going to have just like the baby faces do this.
Well, there's plenty of guys getting buried. They could use someone on who's really low card, like Ryback.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they want someone who's buried, why not Ryback? Ryback's the guy who's getting buried, right?
Yeah, but there can't be that many people left that they could trust to kind of cut a promo. I mean, this wasn't really that fantastic, but
I don't think they're going to put Justin Gabriel in there.
That's exactly the person I was just going to bring up as, like, they can't just have Justin Gabriel do it. I'm actually thinking the next one we're going to see is probably going to be Tons of Funk.
Yeah, that
would make sense. But there's nothing stopping them from rotating guys.
They could bring the other one. But I'd love to see somebody like Yoshi Tatsu try to do it. Or, like, bring Ezekiel Jackson and just see what he comes out with.
Shit, why not Big E? He could such goofy-ass promos.
And he could be, like, eating a cheese sandwich while he's doing it.
Right. Maybe they'll have David Otunga do it, because apparently that's all he can do now is kind of pop up for one segment every few months.
Yeah, except he's going to do it like the most unenthusiastic sales pitch ever.
Yeah.
Oh my God, just have David Otunga do it and do that really boring, uninterested read-off like he did for the lawyer read.
Want to buy a WWE Slam, buddy? No, I don't really care. Can if you want to. Don't got it.
Do you want to buy some of this merchandise? Go to WWE Shop. Then you can buy it. I'm David Otunga. See you later.
And if you choke on any small hazard, phone me.
You know I was in a movie with Halle Berry, right?
Yeah. You want to buy me a better career in WWE? Because I'm not going to put in the effort.
Sure, you
know you're going to get Collie and Hornswoggle since Hornswoggle can talk now.
Oh, yeah. Hornswoggle can be like his translator. There you go. Anyway, Drew, you got anything you want to finish up with the Zack Ryder doing the sales pitch?
I'd rather see the Great Khali do it, just because it'd be the best segment in the history of Raw.
I think you're giving too much credit.
No, just imagine he'd be like, T-shirt. Just imagine, that'd be like the greatest TV ever. Don't even lie.
Is your mic having trouble again, or was that your impression of Khali?
That was like Chris
I think that was his impression of Khali.
Khali just has, like, he's always talking through Skype. That's why we can't understand what he's saying.
That should be a new game show. It's like Khali or Skype fuck up. It's like
Watch out, Chris Jericho's going to want to host it.
Oh my God, they should have Sin Cara come on and fucking like drop shit.
He should come out selling TNA merchandise.
You know what? You know it was a shit roll when this is getting the most conversation going.
Yeah, we've definitely spent like 5 minutes at least talking about the sales pitch scene, and I was ready to rush on to the wonderful Divas match that followed it, Nikki Bella versus Tamina, which, as a matter of fact, I didn't even watch. When I saw this was the Divas segment, I was like, oh, cool, I got time to take a break, and I went and made some food. So I don't know how this turned out. Was there anything special that happened between these two ladies, or the ladies on the outside?
Wasn't actually too terribly horrible. It's above most of the Divas matches they have on there, so that's not saying much, though. I wasn't totally bored. I knew Del Rio would be on later, so I was saving my piss for them.
The entire match, I was just looking at Nikki because I just felt like her T-shirt was about to rip off at any second. So
I think you were just hoping it was.
No,
It's kind of like when I look at Del Rio and I hope he shits his pants.
What type of T-shirt? What type of T-shirt is she wearing? Is it like just a standard T-shirt? Because it just looks like it could just rip at any. Yeah, it just looks like it could rip at any second. I'm just like, I'm interested.
Damn, Drew, them hormones are running crazy on you right now. Take a cold shower or something.
He wants to be with the Fantastic Bell.
Dude, I don't think it's easy to realize. This was a match with Tamina. What else was I supposed to look at?
True that. Corey Krause in the chat room saying the Bella is the worst face turn since The Miz.
Oh no, Del Rio definitely. It's worse than
Del Rio had a pretty bad face turn.
Wait, how did The Miz turn face? I don't even remember.
It was the same night as Del Rio turned face, wasn't it? Was like the Miz TV segment and
it was some kind of Miz TV segment.
Well, no, yeah, because the Brooklyn Brawler came back. It was
did Del Rio turn face just from winning the title? How did Miz turn face?
No.
I think he stood up for TLC. Somebody. I think he stood up for. I think wasn't that when he hooked up with Flair? Like he stood up for Flair, and then Flair passed the move on to him.
Yes.
I trust you with a figure full like oh God, what have I done?
Yes, indeed. All right, so I can tell we have a lot to talk about this Divas match. So let's move on to a match that I think was absolutely fantastic with the returning Tyson Kidd going against a continuing favorite of mine, Fandango. Each of them with a pretty lady by their side, Tyson Kidd with the beautiful Natalya, and Fandango with the ever-so-radiant Summer Rae. Fandango ends up actually getting the win after catching Tyson Kidd trying to get a sunset flip, but he reverses it into a pinning combination. Good fun little match. Tyson Kidd's still looking a little rusty from his time away, but I think if they decide they want to keep with him and they don't get bored, Tyson Kidd could have a really nice mid-card run here. Steven, you got any thoughts about it?
I don't think he would have looked as sloppy in the ring had you not been drawn to the whole match felt odd because Tyson Kidd was meant to be the babyface, but Fandango ended up being the babyface in this entire match. So every time that Tyson Kidd did any moves, it was just silent and awkward. And the fact that he got so much offense in, the match was really awkward for such a really good match. Had this been in America with a normal crowd, I don't think it would have been too bad, but for such a solid wrestling match, I just felt awkward throughout the whole thing just because of the way the fans were reacting. But this is nothing new. When you have any European fans in the crowd, they love Fandangoing, as we saw that night after WrestleMania.
One thing you got to also consider, Fandango is the one who came out with the Union Jack on his entrance.
Oh, yeah. I suppose that doesn't help.
Which the same thing happened with 3MB earlier. They really
botched that whole angle. I mean, the 3MB, I think they was trying to make the British fans pissed off, but they was just like, oh, look, our flag, yay.
It's like it backfired in both cases. But Tony, how'd you feel about the match these two had tonight? These two wonderful, bright up-and-comers that we shall see in the next couple of months.
It wasn't too bad, all things considered. When you look at the whole scope of what happened on tonight's show, it was actually one of the highlights. I don't know if really Tyson Kidd's going to have much steam going forward, and it's not just because this was a little bit awkward, but in general, they're not going to really do much with him. He can't cut a promo that well. He's not going to be that big type of guy that they can get behind, even though he can't cut a promo. So at best, he's looking at having a really good feud with Fandango and then trying to get into the Intercontinental picture or the U.S. title picture. But I think this is going to be a situation where Tyson Kidd's got a month or so, and then he's going to be back into the tag team division with somebody, maybe somebody like Justin Gabriel, maybe Evan Bourne when he returns or whatever. But for now, this Natalya, Kidd, Summer Rae, Fandango thing, I'm digging it.
I'd watch it once.
Hey, what would you think about a Tyson Kidd versus Dolph Ziggler match if he was put into the IC picture? That'd be awesome.
I'd like it.
Yeah, totally. Drew, you got anything you want to add to the Fandango Tyson Kidd match we had tonight?
I thought it was good. I'm going to agree with Steven that it felt weird because of the crowd was weird. But I think we all agree that the only reason why Tyson Kidd's on TV is because of Total Divas.
Yeah, no doubt.
Which is the best show on TV, may I add.
I'm sure it helps.
Anyways, yes, it helps because, hell, the fucking Dactyls get more time on TV now than tons of funk, so...
As they should.
As they should. But, God. But, it was just a decent match. It wasn't that long, too. It was, for what it was pretty good.
All right, we had a continuation of handicap matches tonight. Vicky Guerrero set up the theme, and Kane and Brad Maddox decided to follow it up. The next one we had was John Cena versus both of the Real Americans. Before the match started, Zeb Coulter, on his way to the ring, just tore apart the UK, and this was great fun, I thought. He even took the low blow of burning them up for once liking Mr. Bean.
Once liking?
Aww.
Great job by Zeb Coulter, I think. Eventually during this match, Alberto Del Rio comes down to the ring. He's doing guest commentary on there. Another part that really stuck out to me is the crowd starts chanting, Superman, Superman. There's a guy in a Superman costume in the audience that they're all pointing at, which was awesome. John Cena ends up getting the win in the match, though, with the STF, tapping out Jack Swagger. The Real Americans go to continue the attack on John Cena after the ring bell. However, he is saved by E Langston racing down to the ring and exposing his pecs. Yay. Drew, what'd you think about that, man?
The match was very good. It was actually, even though Cena won, they did a very good job at putting, not Swagger shit, but
Cesaro?
I forgot his name. Cesaro, there we go. I forgot his name. But, yeah, they did a very good job putting him over. He had a couple nasty uppercuts in that match. And the only thing I wish they did was he did the super spin, but Cena's a bit of a upsetter and doesn't want to be spinning around, apparently. It hurts his elbow. Yeah, it was pretty good.
He's got an upset stomach.
Yes, an upset stomach. But it was a very good match, one might say.
Steven?
I'm not too happy with this. The match was good. I just don't get me wrong, the match was good. I'm just never in agreement that you should have the guy who's like at the handicap winning. The team should always win. I'm a firm believer of that, unless they're obviously jobbers like 3MB. But Cesaro and Jack Swagger, you've got a former world champion in there and a former US champion in there. They should have gone over John Cena. Even if you wanted Cena to get fucked over by Del Rio, they should have gone over. So, as much as I enjoyed the match, I had a bitter taste in my mouth afterwards because of the finish. But
well, is the match only the finish? I mean, most of the match was the Real Americans getting a sizable number of offense. And as we said, a lot of...
The only silver lining to this is the guy that took the fall was Jack Swagger and not Antonio Cesaro.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed. Cesaro never really takes the fall in any of these matches. Can anyone name the last time he took a fall in any type of tag team match?
I'm pretty sure he was pinned by the Matadors.
Yeah.
And another reason for me to hate the Matadores.
Oh, dude, come on. You're just I think it's just because they're from Spain. I think that's your issue.
I thought they were from Puerto Rico.
No, they're from Brazil.
They're from parts unknown. Tony, what'd you think about the handicap match we have with John Cena and the Real Americans?
I'm just thinking right now about from Death Valley, Los Matadores.
From
that would be awkward as hell.
Mexico.
El Torito comes out with the urn. Oh. I kind of agree with Steven here. I think that whenever you have a handicap match, the team should win, even if it is John Cena, unless they're facing, the two local jobbers or something like that. So that was a little annoying. I actually didn't pay too much attention to the match itself because this was like the real cutoff point where I was just like, you know what? They're not doing anything with anybody, and I really could probably skip this entire episode and it wouldn't matter. So I figured at best people would tell me, oh, you missed a really good match, go back and watch it, and I would. And at worst, if I was paying half attention and half not paying attention, I probably wouldn't miss much. So the quality of the match I can't really call too much on, but the outcome, not a big fan, and not a big fan of what happened with Del Rio afterward. And are you pretty sure that Big E was showing off his pecs, or are you showing off something else? We have to ask Paul about that one.
Well, it depends on what Big E was showing off and what the cameraman was looking at, if you're going to ask that question. The cameraman was definitely getting some questionable angles during this whole match.
Thank God that Paul isn't the fucking cameraman, though.
So let's move on to the next match we had. It was Ryback, the guy who's totally not being buried, against R-Truth. R-Truth deciding to not do...
I knew I was going to eat some shit on this one.
R-Truth, who decided not to do his typical entrance theme, he decided to shake it up and do a little freestyling about being in the UK. At least he got the city right. He could have said something really weird and thought he was in, Liechtenstein or some other city that's there that only a dumb American would know.
I would have loved it if we fucking just totally went a different country because of the European stuff. Yo, Berlin, Germany, what's up?
So, and you know that since he got to do his theme differently, that meant R-Truth is about to get a push and that he was going to get a win in this, right? Because R-Truth got the surprise roll-up, getting the victory over Ryback. Steven, would you part this?
Oh.
Shit, I'm going to eat a lot of shit on this one. Okay, he's being buried. You're right. Not much more I can say about that. He lost to fucking R-Truth. And people are rumoring that he's going to be facing Goldberg. Right. I don't know what to say about this other than, wow, he got shit on by R-Truth in a promo, beat by R-Truth, and then shit on by Paul Heyman. He just got fucked tonight.
Well, let's bring that up, but we might as well merge these two together. Later on in the night, we have Paul Heyman in the ring, inside of his wheelchair, looking absolutely grizzled. I mean, he had to have not shaved in a couple weeks. His hair looked greasy as hell. He had the cast on his leg, on his neck brace. He had all types of things all over him. And the first thing he says, he just absolutely runs down Ryback. He says, I stood in this ring, I made him an offer, which he didn't even give me a true answer to, and he was not able to back me up as a Paul Heyman guy or do anything correctly at all. And he just tore Ryback apart and basically excommunicated him from the family.
It was kind of like, hey, Paul, I know Ryback's beating him tonight, but could you just shit on Ryback a bit extra? Oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Tony, you have anything you want to add to about this?
I like R-Truth doing that, where he's switching up the lyrics a little bit. I think that actually gives a little bit of something extra to it. If he's just going to come out there and sing the same song that he did before, that's not going to do anything. So why not, switch up the lyrics and at least give it a shot. Now, I don't like it, in comparison to what he used to do when he was a heel, but...
Oh, with The Miz, that shit was awesome.
Yeah, when he was coming out and talking about how pigeons can't talk and all that, that was by far the most entertaining that R-Truth ever was. And the What's Up R-Truth, I'm never really going to get behind, but this is a slight step up for him. It's not worth anything, and I don't think that he should be getting any kind of a push, but... Man, Ryback, how fucking bad. What did he do to piss somebody off? You not only lose your match after really being kind of pointless for a while now, but you lose it to R-Truth, and you lose it on a taped show that means nothing, and then you have to have somebody come out later on the night and call you a big dumb brute, and then it doesn't even result in, you turning babyface on him, or...
Yeah, it was I'm just going to shit on you and nothing's going to happen about it.
It's as if it was a normal Triple H promo where the person doesn't get put over and Triple H just calls him an asshole and whatever, and then goes, you're getting something good out of just being mentioned on here. Ryback is really in the shitter, and for anybody who thinks that he's going to end up facing Goldberg at WrestleMania, oh my God, you got to stop living in denial. The best that Ryback can hope for at this point is getting squashed by Big Show at WrestleMania.
Oh my God.
And I don't even think that that's going to happen at this point.
And this is the guy that I picked to win the Royal Rumble this year.
What, for 2013 or for 2014 coming up?
No, for 2013.
Oh, yeah, I naturally assumed that he was going to, too. But, hell, at that point, he was worth a damn, and they were going with him. And
it's amazing how they lost it so quick, man. That's bad.
He must have pissed somebody off, or he must have...
Whose cereal did he piss in?
Yeah, whose bag did he shit in?
He was fucking with catering so much that he accidentally spit in Mr. McMahon. It was just downhill from there.
I bet he drank Mr. McMahon's Red Bull. Apparently Vince loves Red Bulls, so...
It turns out that tuna that he smeared on the guy's face was meant for Vince McMahon, and he's been all pissed off because he didn't get to eat that sandwich.
Or maybe he just coughed in front of Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah, he apparently hates coughing, right? Or sneezes as well. He hates sneezes too.
Well,
poor Ryback.
Poor Ryback. Rest in peace, Ryback. We hardly knew ye.
Yep.
Can you go back and edit the part where I said Ryback was getting buried from last show?
I'm going to make that a sound clip and play that over and over anytime we talk about what Ryback's doing until he gets fired.
Oh.
Maybe Ryan Reeves himself will just keep playing it over and over again to reassure himself that he's got a job later on. I'm not getting buried. This all means something.
I have one fan.
Maybe Ryback's going to make his own internet web series called This Jobber for Hire.
No, they're going to make the Rise and Fall of Ryback DVD next.
Careful, Jericho might steal that too.
The rise and mostly fall of Ryback.
It's God. This has got to be one of the worst characters and just all around. This has got to be one of the worst pushes and fucking falls ever in WWE history. This is beyond bad.
The guy really looked like he was going to be an A-class star at one point.
Yeah.
And it just did not pan out that way.
I've got to say, he makes a good point. Is there anyone that's had such a really good push and dropped and diminished so quickly? Because right back when we fought, yeah, but
he didn't even debut. Kazarni is another one who comes to mind.
Yeah, but Kazarni never fucking did anything. I mean, a guy that actually went to the top almost, and everyone was behind, and everyone had pitched as the next big guy, and then just fizzled out.
Warrior, maybe.
Yeah, I suppose that's one, but...
Even he, stuck around for a little bit, though.
He had some success. Ryback went to the point where we all thought he was going to win the championship at WrestleMania, and then... gone.
Yeah, maybe Mabel? Mabel's the only other one that I could really come to mind.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that got that far. I can just think of a lot of people that were being built up as a potential big guy that could work, like a Nathan Jones or... even Tensai to an extent, but nobody who really had the fans behind him as well. And they just looked at that and they were like, holy shit, we can make some money with this guy, so we'll make him lose for the next 12 months straight.
And honestly, I don't think it's anything he did wrong. I think it's something WWE did wrong with him. You mean all they have to do is have him fucking do his normal bullshit feed me more thing every week.
Or just win every once in a while?
Yeah, that helps.
Would he be okay if he never turned heel?
I think so.
I think he'd be okay if they never put him in the match with CM Punk.
Yeah, this was about to say. I think that was like that was the beginning of the end.
You mean this match with CM Punk?
No.
No.
Hell in a Cell when Cena gave him his title shot because they backed themselves into a corner where they couldn't take the belt off Punk because he needed it to make the Rock's win seem more big. At least that was their mindset going in. So the only way they could have redeemed that was have Ryback win the Royal Rumble, but they gave that to John Cena. And honestly, the only way you could have redeemed that whole thing was have Ryback win the Rumble and maybe beat Punk for the title if they decided to have Cena cost Rocket at Elimination Chamber.
So could we say that Ryback truly is one of those people who got sacrificed because of The Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that they could have gone a different direction and salvaged it all if they would have had him beat Mark Henry at WrestleMania too. Because that was kind of a reset point.
I've never understood that.
Yeah, that could have been a reset point where they went, you know what, look, we can't give him the World Heavyweight title because we're dead set on Del Rio and we've got a huge boner for him for some reason. And we can't give him the WWE title because we've got John Cena and The Rock, so we need to give him something else to do. Let's have him in this feud with Mark Henry. He'll get that big spot that everybody's looking for where he's going to pick him up, give him the shell shock, and then we can move on from there. But instead they decided that they would just make him lose again and then try to do the shell shock afterward, and then we'd be like, that makes up for it, but it really doesn't. And then
what's really confusing, they was put him into a program straight away for the title. Wouldn't you want him to have like a full head of steam going into that?
Yeah. And what did Mark Henry do? I mean, he went on to face Sheamus at Extreme Rules in, what was it, a strap match? And then he got injured and left, and he was gone for a month or two, and then he came back to that salmon suit speech.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, truly, Ryback is a guy that didn't do anything wrong. There's a few times where it's always up to debate. Did the WWE screw him or did the guy just not have it? Ryback had all the tools to be a legit main eventer. WWE just fucked it up.
Wow. You heard it here, folks. Ryback had all the tools to be a legit main eventer.
He did. The fans were behind him. He had the size and he had about as much ring ability as Goldberg did.
You're not wrong. Guys, anything else you want to add to the Ryback subject before we close it?
No.
All right, so the next match we had Big E Langston going against Alberto Del Rio. They got this match set up after what happened earlier with the John Cena Del Rio Big E setup. Del Rio wins with the cross arm breaker. Not a bad little match, not anything super special, but it passed time on Raw very well. You guys got anything you want to say? You could say more than that, which I don't think you can, but Steven?
And stuff happened.
Tony?
I paid little attention to the John Cena match. I paid zero attention to this. I actually fully fast-forwarded this entire thing and then asked you guys later on, so how did Big E lose? Because I could just see Del Rio parading around like an idiot. Didn't care whatsoever. Snooze.
As I said, I saved my piss for this, but came back and Big E was getting tapped out.
Drew?
Booby Langston.
Good commitment, Drew. Thank you.
I'm sure Paul would have had something to say.
So, one thing I want to mention is during a commercial break, we got an advertisement for next week's Raw, which is going to be live from Nashville, Tennessee, and it's going to be a special themed episode of Raw Country.
Oh,
what the hell does that mean?
I fucking hate country music so much, and that whole
the whole
lifestyle.
Canadian Stampede thing again, where they wear the cowboy hats.
I don't know. How do you do a Raw Country episode?
I'll tell you how you do it. You bring back the country guy, Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, no.
And the Road Dogg can come out as the roadie, and the two can sing for the whole entire
Could you imagine if they actually did decide to work that out with Jeff Jarrett?
I would mark out.
You would?
James is doing country.
Oh my
I used
God.
to love Jeff Jarrett back in WWF.
They stole Jeff Jarrett from TNA.
Doesn't he wrestle in AAA now?
I don't know. Too many three-letter initials. I can't keep up with it all. But next we had we mentioned a little bit earlier about Paul Heyman being in the ring in his wheelchair. The end of that segment actually ended up being him calling out, saying that he will get his vengeance on CM Punk However, CM Punk enters and once again destroys Paul Heyman with a kendo stick. And I got to say, this time it felt like there was a lot more finality to what happened between these two. Paul Heyman gets tossed aside. Daniel Bryan enters next, and we're set up for our handicap match between all three members of the Shield against Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Also, during when the Shield was making their entrance, there was a really funny crowd sign I saw that said, "Ryback ate my hamster."
Pretty specific.
That was good fun. But this match, it was all right. The match itself, but the thing that was really exciting was at the end where CM Punk had the what the heck is this move called? The Anaconda Vice on, I believe it was Ambrose, and all of a sudden we had the Wyatts little screen cutout thing go down. The Wyatts come down to the ring. The lights come on, I should say, and they're already in the ring, and all of a sudden we have an all-out brawl, but the Wyatts and the Shields cannot decide who gets to beat up Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. So we finally see a battle between the Wyatts and the Shield. Lots of excitement going on there. It got the crowd to even do the great "This is awesome" chant, which, they'll do it for anything, so it's not that big of a deal. But, hey, it was awesome. I'm not going to lie. This was the best part of the show all night, by far. Finally, the two of them decided, hey, why are we fighting? We're both here to beat up these same guys. So they end up crowding around them, finally getting the beat down onto the two, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, who are eventually saved by the Usos and Goldust and Cody Rhodes coming down and chasing them all out. And finally, it looks like we may have our Survivor Series match. 6 men on both teams, making it a 12-man tag match. I'm pretty sure that's the biggest Survivor Series match of all time. I could be wrong, but looking good, guys. I'm excited for it. How are you feeling about it, Tony?
I'm so confused, though. I don't know what they're going to do with this. I thought for sure we were going to get the 2 other members of the Wyatt family, other than Bray Wyatt himself, due to his injury, and the two members of the Shield that are predominantly in the tag team division, Rollins and Reigns, and Kane. And that was going to make up one of the teams of 5, and they were going to incorporate The Miz in there somewhere because of the whole Kane and Miz had their interaction and everything. And man, this is throwing me for a loop, because if they do 6-on-6, I don't know how they're going to do some of these other things, because what's going to end up happening with the Real Americans? They looked like they were going to be set up for some kind of a tag title match, and you can't have...
Real Americans going to go against Matadors.
Do you think they're going to do that again? Because they haven't really done too much with them in the past few weeks.
I got a solution.
Good.
Last year when I went to Survivor Series, they did a completely unannounced elimination match to start out the show. They could probably just do that again at the beginning.
Yeah. It'll probably be like Real Americans and 3-man band against Matadors and 3 other singles guys, Santino and fucking Kali and some other guy, Tyson Kidd. Yeah, there you go.
I could see that, but at the same time, I don't know if they're going to have time for it.
Really? When they don't have any other announced matches so far?
No, but some of them are pretty obvious that they're going to do. I mean, we're going to get some kind of a Divas match. We're probably going to get a mixed tag match between Fandango and Summer Rae and Natalya and Tyson Kidd. Mm-hmm. We're probably going to get something with Kane, whether or not that's Kane against The Miz solo or Kane in this elimination match. I doubt it now. But we're going to get something with Dolph Ziggler. So they got to figure out a way to do something with a lot of these people. And Big E, he needs a spot too. Big E looked like he was going to be having his match against Curtis Axel, and then they switched it up to Dean Ambrose. Now, if he doesn't get involved in this, where's he going to go? It's not going to be 7-on-6.
I don't know, man. Steven?
After we had that fucking stupid segment with CM Punk and Paul Heyman as he hit his back brace repeatedly, viciously with the kendo stick.
Yeah, that wasn't obvious.
Yeah. We got what was not the best Shield match that I've seen, but it was a handicap match, so I suppose they're limited to a degree. I really got into the whole Wyatt family versus Shield moment. It actually made the feud seem somewhat legitimate. And no, it's not handy-capable Paden. Fucking... So, yeah, the match was so-so. The whole where they're going to go with this is Survivor Series. I'm all for it. I mean, they'll probably give these guys probably a good half an hour if there's with so many people in the match. So, I mean, I wish there was more build to this whole thing, but hey, I'm up for it.
There's still a couple weeks to go.
Yeah.
It's not like we're in October where there's only 3 weeks between pay-per-views.
You know what's funny? Every time we have a Survivor Series, it just seems like a bunch of guys in large groups getting into quarrels with each other.
It's funny how that lines up. It's kind of like back in WCW when they had War Games that always ended up that way too.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know.
Coincidence, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I got not much more to say on this other than I'm interested in it. I'm not sure where they're going to go with it as far as the feud goes, but Survivor Series is shaping up to be somewhat interesting besides the main events.
Well, is it not interesting seeing the Wyatts and the Shield actually teaming up? And what I think I could see happening is after what I would probably guess their team loses, it would be a good excuse for them to quarrel with each other and eventually get that big Wyatt family Shield feud that everyone's been wanting.
Do you keep them both heel? Do you make one of them tweeners? Or do you put the Shield face?
I think you do the Russo approach and let the fans decide.
Yeah?
You just let them be themselves and let the fans decide who they want.
So it'll be the Shield that gets over because no one likes the Wyatts.
I would think it would be the Shield because they're the better wrestlers and they've been around. They're a little bit more established. So I think the Shield would, I'd say, still act like bad guys, but probably be the ones that the fans would be more likely to get behind.
Kind of like how CM Punk was a douche when he was when he initially had his face turn.
Plus, just look at the characters. I mean, isn't it a lot easier to get behind a couple of dudes like the Shield than creepy backwoods fucking cult people like the Wyatts?
Also,
no.
It'd be a good way to position Roman Reigns for this face turn that's being rumored, because let's face it, that's the one, that's out of the three guys, he's the one that's ready to break out.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Corey Krause. Spoiler alert, Roman Reigns eliminates everyone.
It might end up happening.
He's
I fucking love
that. Drew, you got anything you want to add to our main event segment we had tonight of The Shield against Daniel Bryan and CM Punk with the involvement from the Wyatts?
I didn't get to see parts of it.
Boo!
I'm sorry. I was eating dinner. But as soon as Tony Mango introduced a 6-on-7 handicap match, I was just thinking about that the entire time. Gosh, but no. The parts I saw in the match, it was okay. You usually see better out of Punk and Daniel Bryan, but for what it was, okay. Terrible. It was a terrible show, so not much you could say. What?
Such a hater.
I'm not... Okay, my name's not Steven. I didn't hate everything on the show. Come on.
Yeah, but people have come to expect it from me now.
Oh, true. Okay, it was I don't know. I just couldn't get into the show that much. So.
Are you a hater of English things?
Yes, I am a freaking hater of anything that comes from England. Yeah. Screw you, Steven.
And he hates the Beatles.
Yeah, well, Paden wants to screw your sister, so.
Oh, man, it does with everyone nowadays.
Like say it with your sister. Oh, my goodness gracious. Anyone have anything else they want to add to about our main event segment tonight?
And not my sister. Joe.
God damn, this Raw is shit.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so why don't we go around, give our overall thoughts about tonight's Raw, which sounds like all you going to sum it up in the same words. And, of course, your high point, low point. Drew, why don't you start us off? Okay,
I'm not gonna say Raw was bad, but it was just uninteresting, and I just really couldn't get into it as I wasn't really paying attention to some parts of Raw. But the high point, honestly, is probably seeing Brad Maddox actually playing a significant role for once. And the low point would have to be gosh, I'm trying to pick one. Okay.
Nikki Bella not ripping her shirt off.
Shoot. I'm gonna go with Biggie Langston not winning, because Biggie Langston should be above Alberto Del Rio right now, just because Biggie is amazing and he needs 5.
Tony, your overall thoughts and your high point, low point.
Low point, almost the entire show. The fact that none of this mattered whatsoever. And the high point, by default, the only thing that did matter is the very, very end of the show. The tease between the Wyatt family and the Shield, if it comes to something, it'll be that much better. And that was really the only thing that was worth a damn on this entire episode. Everything else, total waste of time. And I'm kind of annoyed that I actually watched it.
Steven?
To summon it up, this whole episode, fuck. It was awful, man. There was nothing I enjoyed on this card. If I had to force myself to pick a high point, I'm gonna go with Tyson Kidd. No, I'll just go with Fandango's entrance. That was probably the highest point on the show. The low point, I'm gonna go ahead and say Del Rio's too easy at this point, so I'm just gonna say John Cena winning a handicap match. I really don't like those type of finishes.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, I am really butthurt about that. It's fucking bad booking. It doesn't do anything for either guy, so... Well, it does a lot for Cena, but nothing that's already been done for him, so... Yeah, it was fucking pointless. Yeah, that's all I got on...
All right, we'll give a shout out to Corey Krause. His high point was The Shield. Low point, WWE strikes out in 1 week with Corporate Kane. Absolutely have to agree with you. First week having Kane in the suit, and they're doing comedy bits with Brad Maddox. Really? What a missed opportunity.
Was it comedy, though? Because it wasn't funny.
There was definitely playing comedy with them arguing back and forth like that. That's not something. Who would dare argue with Kane? Brad Maddox should be cowering in fear from Kane.
Yeah,
Brad
I mean,
Maddox.
he shits himself around fucking Triple H and stuff. Kane's a lot more intimidating.
Yeah. Of course, I guess Stephanie's the one to be most afraid of.
Yes.
I would totally be most afraid of Stephanie.
I was going to say Brad Maddox is going to be the next Daniel Bryan, and they're going to make Team Hell No version 2.0.
Now,
what's up.
Giving my thoughts about this, I thought it was an okay show. It wasn't a great show. It didn't promote a lot of things going towards Survivor Series, but I'm okay with that. I thought it was just a fun show to watch. There was a lot of good wrestling. There wasn't too much on here that necessarily offended me. There was a couple things, and I could definitely get down on those, but I like to be a little bit more positive about things like that, and I think tonight's show was a very watchable show. But I think it's another example. They could have cut out a lot of stuff, made it a 2-hour show, and it would have been doubly better than it was. And also, I think it's another great example of how a really hot crowd can make a show that much more fun.
Yeah, I imagine if we had a fucking quiet crowd. What was that really bad one that was like almost silent?
Sioux City, Iowa.
Yeah, imagine if this show was there.
Yeah, if the show was... you could have had the Raw after WrestleMania in Sioux City, Iowa, and it would have been shit.
Yeah. So, fuck.
Yeah. My high point, I am going to probably say it would either be the tease between the Wyatt family and the Shield or the Fandango Tyson Kidd match. Great up-and-comers we have there. I can't wait to see the future of these two guys. I think this feud is going to be really fun, and I think it's going to do a lot for both guys who Tyson Kidd's been gone for a long time, so he's a little out of the public conscious. Fandango could use a lot of rehabbing himself, so hopefully this will do a lot for both guys' careers. Low point of the night, I'm just going to go ahead and say Ryback. This guy, my gosh, being rolled up and pinned by R-Truth and then just completely excommunicated by Paul Heyman like that. Poor guy. I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. I don't know what they're going to do with him at this point. I think comedy tag team is all that's left for him. That's it.
Okay, so if he does wrestle Goldberg, how long does the match last?
Probably be a new record for quickest finish. Goldberg runs in, spears, and gets the pin.
I don't know who you had for Clown of the Week, but he might fucking have to take it.
If you put some clown makeup on Ryback, I think he would look kind of fun.
Should we make him the new Doink back?
Yeah.
He's the new Kazarni.
Because Ryback, I don't know. I can't think of anything. I think that's what we're going to end the show on then before I make another stupid thing and Drew's mic is starting to make weird noises again. So, guys, let's go around one final time tonight. Get your closing plugs that you want people to know about what's going on in your world. Drew, start us off, bro.
Well, I'm not going to do the bounce house bit because I usually do the bounce house bit.
No. Is
the mic fine?
No. What?
Is the mic fine?
Mic's fine.
Oh, okay. But instead, I will be plugging my new show that I started with a friend over the weekend. It's called The Max and Drew Show. Pretty much we just talk about sports. We have shitty mic and shitty camera quality for anyone who loves shitty mic and shitty camera quality. So if you're a fan of that, you should check us out. Just go to YouTube and search for The Max and Drew Show, or follow us on Twitter at Max and Drew Show, where we'll keep you updated on anything Drew White needs. And eventually it will be changed over to a podcast format. I have everything. We are just getting my friend pretty much set up. He's not 100% ready to do it, and that's why we have shitty mic and shitty camera quality. So, just be on the lookout for that in future weeks to come.
Fucking if you like shit.
Was that actually just like viral marketing tonight when your microphone went all crazy on it?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of your first episode, and I left you a comment about the NBA being Drew White verified.
Everything is Drew White verified nowadays.
Steven, take over, dude.
Episode 10 of Unanimous Decision MMA is going to be celebrating 20 years of the UFC, as their 20-year documentary just came on, so we're going to touch a bit on that. We're going to touch a bit on fucking Dan Henderson getting knocked out for the first time in his career. That was insane. They had a fight for the Troops card recently. We're going to touch on that. And mainly we're going to get into what is going to be one hell of a card with UFC 167, as we have George St. Pierre versus Johnny Hendricks, Chael Sonnen versus Rashard Evans. It's going to be one hell of a fight. And of course, you can tune in to Mega Powers Radio this week for a show which I really should pick a name for. We're going to be talking. Me and my wife Jana are going to be talking a lot about anime. We're going to be touching on Danganronpa. It's a really fun series based on a battle royale type vibe and a murder mystery. So it's pretty fun.
I still don't know what you're saying every time you promote that show. Danganronpa.
Danganronpa. Yeah.
That Danganronpa. Keeps on romping.
It's fucking a batshit insane anime. It's a lot of fun. So you guys should check it out and tune into the show.
Definitely. Tony, take us over, dude.
Next week's Nashville Raw is going to be a daggone romper. As mentioned before, my wrestling website is www.smarkoutmoment.com. I'm looking for more writers there, so if you're interested in joining the writing team, shoot me a message and we'll get to talking. Also, my podcast for that is Smack Talk, which you can find on youtube.com/smarkoutmoment, as well as iTunes and Stitcher. This upcoming episode is going to be a special live edition, similar to tonight's Raw Post show. So if you want to call in and join in the discussion, mark your calendars for 10 p.m. Eastern, Friday, November 15th, right here on Mega Powers Radio. We'll be talking about everything that happened this week, taking your calls, doing all the other kind of nonsense like that. You can also check out my Bleacher Report articles, my other website, fanboysanonymous.com, for everything in geek culture. And if you're looking for everything else under A Mango Tree, just do a search for Tony Mango and A Mango Tree on Facebook and Twitter.
All right, y'all, and if you enjoyed tonight's show, be sure to tune in every Monday night following the conclusion of Monday Night Raw, where we will be doing the Mega Powers Radio post show every single Monday night, www.megapowersradio.com. We're also going to be archiving all of our shows on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/megapowersradio. And be sure to like us on Facebook just by searching for Mega Powers Radio, so you'll always know what's going on here in the station. That'll include all those shows you heard there, as well as other great shows like Keeping Kayfabe, I Got Gameplay, The Daceman Show, and Geek Speak. Lots of fun stuff going on here, so please support us as we keep doing all the awesome stuff that we keep trying to put out there for you. So everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you to Tony Mango, to Drew White, and for Stephen Wago for joining me here tonight. It's been good fun. We'll see you next time here on Mega Powers Radio for the Monday Night Raw post show.